Have you ever stared at something so mundane, so completely ordinary, that it shattered your entire world? I was standing in our kitchen on a Tuesday morning, the weak Chicago sunlight barely cutting through the gray clouds, watching the steam rise from my coffee mug. The scent of our shared life-brewed coffee, last night's takeout, her faint perfume still lingered in the air. But something else was there too. A digital ghost. A string of numbers on her phone's screen time report. And that string of numbers was a noose slowly tightening around the neck of our 10-year marriage. I had just watched her walk out the door, a quick kiss on my cheek, a breezy love you, see you tonight, on her lips. But her phone, left charging on the counter, told a different story. It was the story of the last 24 hours, laid bare in cold, hard data. And it was a story I was not in. It all started subtly, like a hairline crack in a foundation. A few months ago, I began noticing little shifts in Sarah's behavior. She, who used to toss her phone on the couch without a care, now kept it clutched in her hand or face down on the table. Her laughter, once a warm, genuine sound that filled our Lincoln Park brownstone, became brittle, reserved for the glowing screen in her palm. Late-night work emergencies started piling up. Dinners with new clients from her marketing firm became a weekly occurrence. I tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. This was Sarah, my Sarah, the woman I'd met in a crowded bar near DePaul University, the one who laughed at my terrible jokes and seen something in me I hadn't yet seen in myself. We had built a life together, brick by brick. Trust was the mortar holding it all together. To doubt her felt like doubting myself, doubting everything we had built. But the evidence, a slow drip of digital poison, became impossible to ignore. A credit card alert for a dinner at Alinea, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. On a night she was supposedly at a team-building event in a suburban conference room. Stray receipt from the Viceroy Chicago Hotel tucked into her coat pocket, dated for a weekend she was supposedly visiting her sister in Naperville. I confronted her, my voice shaking, holding the piece of paper like it was a venomous snake. She just laughed, a dismissive, airy sound. Oh, that silly me. Must have picked up someone's receipt by mistake at the office coffee machine. Being so paranoid, honey. She was good. So good. She'd tilt her head, her eyes wide with a practiced innocence, making me feel like the villain for even asking. She gaslit me with such skill, such casual cruelty, that I almost started to believe her. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe the stress of my own job was making me see shadows where there were none. Then came the night that broke me. I woke up around 2 a.m. to an empty bed. The space beside me was cold. I found her in the living room, silhouetted against the city lights, whispering into her phone. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. It was intimate, soft, a tone she hadn't used with me in years. When she saw me, she snapped the phone shut, a flicker of panic in her eyes before the mask of annoyance slid into place. "You scared me," she hissed. I was just on a late call with the London office, but I had seen the name on the screen for a split second before she ended the call. Mark. There was no Mark in her London office. Mark was her ex-boyfriend from college, smug, wealthy architect I'd met once and instantly disliked. The pieces of the puzzle, once scattered and confusing, slammed together with brutal clarity. The late nights, the secret trips, the coldness. It wasn't paranoia. It was betrayal. That night, sleep was a distant country I couldn't visit. I lay there, feeling the chasm between us in the bed, and a cold, hard resolve began to form in the wreckage of my heart. The pain was immense, a physical ache in my chest, but underneath it something else was stirring. Rage, pure, undialed rage. She thought she was untouchable. She and her lovers, smug in their secret world, laughing at the fool she came home to every night. They thought I was weak, or about to find out how wrong they were. The next morning, as she slept soundly, I picked up her phone. We shared a family iCloud account, a relic from a time of trust, something she had clearly forgotten in her arrogance. And there it was. Screen time. A feature designed for digital wellness, now my instrument of war. I tapped into it. The usage data was a roadmap to her secret life. Hours spent on WhatsApp, a messaging app we never used together. Dozens of daily calls to Mark Architect, a contact she hadn't even bothered to disguise. Location services data painted a picture of her work meetings at luxury hotels and his downtown apartment. For the next 2 months, I became a ghost in my own life. On the surface, I was the loving, slightly clueless husband. I made her coffee, asked about her day, and absorbed her casual lies with a patient smile. But beneath the surface, I was a detective, a lawyer, and an executioner, all rolled into one.
Well, maybe.
Every day I documented everything. I took screenshots of the screen time reports, the call logs, the damning iMessages that hadn't been deleted properly. I used a data recovery program to pull deleted photos images of her and Mark, laughing on a hotel balcony, clinking champagne glasses. I hired a private investigator who provided me with high-resolution photos of them kissing passionately outside a restaurant on Rush Street, a block from where I was waiting for her to come home from her late night at the office. I gathered financial statements, tracking her spending on their secret getaways. I contacted a shark of a divorce lawyer, laying out my mountain of evidence. He looked at me, a grim smile on his face, and said, "This isn't a divorce. This is a demolition." The plan was meticulous, layered, and designed for maximum impact. The D-Day was set for our anniversary. Sarah had, with breathtaking audacity, planned a large anniversary party at our home. She invited all our friends, our family, her colleagues, even her boss. She wanted to play the part of the perfect adored wife. It was the perfect stage for her downfall. The day of the party, I was a bundle of nerves, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. She was radiant, floating through our home, accepting compliments, completely oblivious to the storm about to break over her head. Mark was there too. He had the nerve to show up as a friend of a friend, a smirk playing on his lips every time he caught my eye. He thought he had one. He thought they were clever. At 9 p.m., I stepped up to the microphone I had set up, ostensibly for an anniversary toast. The room quieted down. Sarah beamed at me, her eyes shining. I raised my glass. To Sarah, I began, my voice steady. To my wife of 10 years who has taught me so much about love and about deception. A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. Sarah's smile faltered. I continued, "Most of you know Sarah as a brilliant, dedicated woman. But there's another side to her. A side she shares with one of our very special guests tonight. Mark, why don't you stand up?" All eyes swiveled to Mark, whose face had gone pale. I clicked a remote in my hand. The large smart TV on the wall, which had been displaying a slideshow of our wedding photos, flickered to life. The first image appeared. A crystal-clear photo of Sarah and Mark, locked in a passionate kiss outside the Viceroy Hotel. Gasps filled the room. Sarah's face crumpled in horror. Another click. A screenshot of her loving texts to him. Another. A hotel receipt with both their names on it. Another. The screen time report, showing hours of calls to Mark Architect. I let the images cycle, a silent testament to her betrayal. As I calmly detailed every lie, every secret meeting, every dollar she spent from our joint account on her affair, her father's face was a mask of fury. Her boss looked utterly mortified. Her friends stared at her, their expressions a mixture of pity and disgust. Sarah just stood there, frozen, as her perfectly curated world burned to the ground around her. I turned to her, my voice dropping to a cold, quiet tone. "Our home is in my name. The accounts have been frozen. My lawyer has already filed. You will leave this house tonight with nothing but the clothes on your back. The life you knew is over." She let out a choked sob and fled the room, a stampede of shame following her. Mark, utterly humiliated, tried to slip out but was blocked by my two brothers. The party ended in a stunned, silent exodus. The aftermath was brutal and swift. She was fired from her job for the reputational damage. Her family, deeply traditional and proud, disowned her. Our friends, who had witnessed her raw humiliation, sided with me. She ended up with nothing. No money, no job, no family, no friends. The legal proceedings were a formality. She had no ground to stand on. The last I heard, she was living in a small, dingy apartment on the outskirts of the city, working a low-wage job. Mark, whose own wife found out about the affair through the party gossip, was embroiled in his own messy and very expensive divorce. Sometimes late at night, I sit in the quiet of this house, the silence a heavy blanket. I won. I got my revenge. I destroyed her life as completely as she destroyed my heart. But the victory feels hollow. The silence in this big, empty house is deafening. I look at my phone, at the blank space where her name used to be, and I realize that some wounds never truly heal. They just turn to ice. The end. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows.